The Great Depression affected many Americans between 1929 and 1942. Although it seems a million years away, it is in reality not too long ago. I have decided to use two different interviews in this project to compare the differences in the effects of the Great Depression in different areas of the United States. So how old were you in 1932?
1936, I was 8 years old.
Where did you live?
I lived in a little community called Henry.
What did your parents do for work?
My mother was a housekeeper, and my dad, he was a mail carrier. He worked for the government all during the Depression.
How do you think the Depression affected your family?
I don't know that it had too much of effect. My dad was a mail carrier, and he worked for the government, so he had a good income. And also we raised chickens and pigs and hogs, and so we had a pretty good supply of food.
So what things do you remember most?
Well, because we wasn't experiencing any hardship as a child, I remember there was a railroad, Norfolk and Western. They ran by the house, and there was a siding there. And when these freight trains would come through, and one was on the side, and the hobos would come to our house. And my mother would always feed them beans and cornbread, and they had a little sign nearby that says, "This is a friendly place." So that's what I remembered most, and then we would give out food to some of the less fortunate people in the community.
What kind of clothes did you wear?
Ooh, they were nice clothes. We were what we call knickers. And we had these long socks. And also at school, I remember we wore what was called a buck cap. And a buck cap was like an aviator's cap. We didn't ride the school bus. We walked to school, so when it was raining or snowing and cold, we could keep our ears warm, and we could pull those goggles down, and we could see through the rain and the snow and so forth.
So do you think there could be another Great Depression?
Do I think there will be another one?
Could be, or will
It
be?
could be. It's very possible that it would be. I don't expect it.
So thanks for the interview.
Well, thank you.
Lived during the Great Depression?
Yes,
How old were you?
17.
You're 17. Where did you live?
I lived in Philadelphia.
What things did you do without mostly?
Without what?
What things did you do without mostly? I mean, like, what didn't you have? What didn't you have that you wouldn't have today, that you would have today?
Oh dear. I could mention a million different things because we were born into a poor family.
Yeah.
My dad made $5 a week in the mill. And there was 4 children, one of which was an invalid. So by the time I was 17, my sister had passed away. And we actually thought we were rich because Daddy got a new job for $18 a week.
Oh, so it really had a great effect on your family life.
It did. As far as food was concerned, we ate better. We got different clothing.
Well, so what foods do you remember most?
What things do I remember most?
Yeah.
How we used to look at what other people had, and as a child wondered why we didn't have it.
Yeah.
So I was put out to work.
So what did you do for entertainment mostly?
For entertainment, we just sat around and sang old songs among our family.
What kind of clothes did you wear?
Oh dear, very plain, nothing fancy, no makeup.
Okay. So,
We had what we called Sunday clothes to go to church, and then we had regular school clothes.
okay. So it was different? Would you say that it was very different than it is now?
Oh, extremely different. We had no means of communication like they have today, the telephone, the radio, the TV. Anything you want to have today or you want to learn, you pick up the phone and you call. And our schools were so different.
Yeah. Do you think there could ever be another Great Depression?
Do I think there could? Definitely so.
Okay.
Because people today are living more or less on credit. And that's one thing my parents taught me: you do not have credit. Your credit comes from your heart and the life you lead, not from your pocketbook.
So I think that from what I have just heard, some children didn't realize that they were living in a depression. But those were only 2 examples, and we do know that different people would have different answers. That's about all of my project, but before I go, one question for you. These 2 people have different ideas on whether there will be another Great Depression. What do you think?